Welcome back to The Mandatory. Remember, if you like the show, if you like the content that we're putting out, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure if you're listening to this to leave a rate and review, hit those 5 stars or 4 or whatever you want to give
No,
us.
not 4. Not fucking 4. And even if you don't like us, hit subscribe is what I would say.
Thanks.
As
I would
well.
appreciate that. I'm going to say it in nicer words than Bryan did, but don't
I'm a
hit
New
that
Yorker.
4.
I can't help it. Can't
Yeah,
help it.
don't. He's an aggressive New Yorker. We've gotten into this many times. But most importantly, also follow us at the Mandatory TKO. You can find us on Twitter, IG, TikTok, all your social media platforms. We're there. Make sure to follow us because we are pushing out some content, some great clips from the shows. If you haven't seen any interviews or if you missed any, we'll have some on there as well. Some good clips to keep you posted. But Bryan, we do have a big fight this weekend, a heavyweight bout, Anthony Joshua, Jermaine Franklin. But there's another fight that people aren't talking about because it should be a Friday fight.
Robeisy Ramirez is fighting Isaac Dogbay on ESPN for a vacant WBO featherweight title.
It's for the featherweight title, and really, it's like,
you know why? Because don't put that fight up against March Madness and the first night of WrestleMania. Top ranking ESPN. Come on, man. And this is my sport, right? Like for me, I told you my tier 1 sports are basketball and boxing, right? And I'm probably not even going to watch this fight as it happens. I'll probably catch it the next day because I'm not missing WrestleMania because that's one of my childhood loves. I still watch wrestling when I can.
I'm definitely gonna have this one on a double screen. Final Four. Going for Miami. I hope Miami wins the whole damn thing, but they have a tough test against UConn. But I am probably gonna have this like on my laptop, trying to watch both at the same time. But nonetheless, we got a good
TV with WrestleMania. Laptop is gonna be on the Final Four. That's it. I only have 2 eyes, even though some people would say I have 4 because I have glasses. I only have 2 eyes. All right, I'm not gonna be able to watch this whole shit.
No, I'm not about to call you 4 eyes, but I'm hoping for this next fight that we're going to talk about that we start to make some paper, right? We got to make some paper with this one, and I think we might be going in the same direction. I don't know yet, but let's find out. Let's roll with it. Money be green.
Like money, motherfucker. Money be green. Money feel like money. That shit look green to you?
that clip always makes me laugh, man. All right, Anthony Joshua and Jermaine Franklin on the money line. As of this recording, Anthony Joshua, the huge favorite, minus 1450, and Jermaine Franklin, the dog, at plus 780. That's for FanDuel. Bryan, how do you see this fight going down?
Okay, so my favorite bet is not necessarily a result. We'll get to that in a bit. But in sizing this up, right? Anthony Joshua was minus 400 to win by knockout, which I found hilarious. I'm like, you're just not giving people odds and shit, right? But when you do group round betting, which we're going to get to right now, the odds are a little bit more in your favor. Rounds 1 through 6 was last time I checked, at least in that plus 125 range, and rounds 7 through 12 was about the same. Yeah. So you'll take that, obviously. You'll take plus odds on a minus 1450 favorite.
Any day.
Yeah. Any day, right? That's what you're trying to look for. If you look for group round betting in terms of rounds of 4, 5 through 8 seems to be where the books are leaning because I was in the plus 100s. But if you go through rounds 9 through 12 for Anthony Joshua to stop Jermaine Franklin, that was in like plus 380 territory when I checked this morning. At the time you're listening to this, watching this, maybe it's a little bit better or worse, but still it's going to be in that plus 300 range most likely, right? And to me, I was surprised at a couple of things. That, but also that the over-under was 7.5 rounds, which I feel like is a fair number, but it feels low to me because maybe I'm respecting Jermaine Franklin too much based on what he did against Dillian White in November. And going into that fight, Jermaine Franklin was similarly priced at like plus 700. Yeah. And I took literally a couple of dollars, but a couple dollars on Jermaine Franklin because I was familiar with his resume, seen him on Showbox before that. And I was like, yo, like White is not that good, right? Like, I mean, he is, but like I'm saying that good to the point of like he's just going to be a minus 1,000 whatever favorite or 800 favorite against Jermaine Franklin. Like Jermaine Franklin's a solid heavyweight. I'm like, he's not that much better than him. So I took a shot at it. And what do you know? Majority of people like myself, thought Jermaine Franklin edged that one out, probably 115, 113. Close fight, but Dillian White did not look great in totality. Felt like he was getting outworked. Felt like Jermaine Franklin fought a smart fight. A lot of jabs to the body, right? And that really paid off as he went along. He didn't ignore the body either. Like, he was actually going body, head, good combinations, could take a punch as well. Like, Jermaine Franklin fought a good fight. Anthony Joshua was a whole different beast. I would acknowledge that, even as somebody who's probably a little bit lower on Anthony Joshua.
A little bit, okay.
A little bit lower on Anthony Joshua than consensus. Look, he's great, but like, I mean,
Bryan and I have had a lot of conversations about AJ in the past, but I'll let you get your breakdown off.
Yeah, my favorite bet in this fight is I'm taking the over on rounds. The over under is 7.5, and the over you can get at plus or minus 105. It might be plus 105 at the time you're hearing this. And the under was like minus 135. So they're actually expecting Anthony Joshua to get the stoppage a little early. And I think Jermaine Franklin's going to last longer than that. And if you look at Anthony Joshua's knockouts against like good fighters, a lot of them come late in fights in that 9 through 12 range. So if you are going to pick an Anthony Joshua knockout, I would say group round betting 7 through 12 to be safe, 9 through 12 for better value. But my favorite bet on this board, Shantelle, is the over on rounds over 7.5.
All right. So is that what you're rolling with? Who are you rolling with in this fight? Anthony Joshua, and like, what do you think is going to happen?
Okay, I think Anthony Joshua wins the fight, and I think he stops him late. I'm a little bit torn between that 7 to 12 or 9 to 12 range. I'm probably leaning 9 to 12 though. Like, if we're being honest, so, like, just because it's better value. And I do think Jermaine Franklin could make it into the latter stages of this fight. I think there's a world where Anthony Joshua even wins on points because he's really putting an emphasis on actually boxing.
Yes.
And not trying to like go out and sort of finish his opponent. I think you're smiling because you think I'm trying to diss him, but I'm not.
No.
And look, if I can just, perhaps get into a little bit, if I could turn heel a little bit here, if you want Jermaine Franklin to potentially like bet on him to win this fight, I mean, you're getting plus 1,400 odds, I think, straight up. And by knockout, probably plus 1,200. And like, look, it would probably be less shocking than the Andy Ruiz one, because nobody gave Andy Ruiz a chance. Nobody.
That was a stunner, man. He shocked the world. No, I was smiling on that because I'm going a total different way than you are, because I want to focus on like the whole storylines coming into this fight, because like you said, I think I'm giving Jermaine Franklin a lot of respect, probably coming off that, White fight where some people did think he did win. Bryan, did you say that you thought Jermaine Franklin got it done?
Yeah, I thought he did enough to get it done. I thought he earned at least a draw.
Exactly. You know what? I thought it was close to a draw, but I also thought Franklin did enough to win that fight. I thought White got gifted that victory. Really close fight. Jermaine Franklin does have power. He has pretty decent head movement. He's skilled, great counter puncher. And the one thing about him, though, he's never fought a guy like Anthony Joshua, though, right? White would be the best name on his resume. And a guy that Anthony Joshua beat was White. So Anthony Joshua's been in the ring with him, but also Jermaine Franklin lost 24 pounds for this fight. So he's more motivated than ever coming into this one. He knows what's riding on this one. And I think it's a big fight for him as well, because if he can get it done against AJ, not only does he shock the world, but at the same time, he becomes a bigger name in the heavyweight division where people are taking him a little bit more seriously. Now, Anthony Joshua, this is his first fight since those back-to-back losses against Alexander Usyk. I thought he definitely fought better in the second one, but like I said, a lot riding for Joshua as well, because if he loses this fight against Jermaine Franklin, then what does it mean for his legacy, and what does it mean for his career? He already told, and we talked about this on our last episode, Box Raw had tweeted that he said that he would retire. So there's a lot riding on Anthony Joshua for this fight. He also said, though, that before he retires, he wants to fight Tyson Fury. He wants to fight Deontay Wilder. And I forget the other name. Yeah, he wants to fight Joyce as well. So even though he said that, he's kind of contradicting himself, because I feel like he wants this really bad, because
a boxer contradicting themselves? No way.
Never happens. Holy right?
Shit.
But even after that Alexander lost the second time, he was pissed. Like, he was doing stuff that was out of his character, because he's a really good guy. And I think a lot of people are questioning him, Bryan, on whether the fact he's been overhyped or not, whether he's been overhyped or not this entire time. But I always go back to the fact that he has one of the best resumes, if not the best resume in the heavyweight division, right? He kind of really rose to fame, I believe, when he beat Vladimir Klitschko. Like that was the kind of the passing of the torch to Anthony Joshua. And after that, he also we talked about, he beat White, he beat Charles Martin, beat Joseph Parker, beat Povetkin, lost to Andy Ruiz. But I think there is something in toughness and shows a lot about your character when you can come back and avenge that loss. And the way that he did that. Also beat
especially
Pulev.
when your opponent is out of shape and overweight and doesn't really take
training.
Okay,
this is what I'm talking about. But he still came back, avenged the loss, and if anything, that's on Andy, man. Like, and I get it. Like, that's like, I totally get it. But he came back, he was focused. But I feel like ever since that Andy Ruiz loss, like Anthony Joshua hasn't really been the same. He hasn't really fought the same. Early on in his career, he was throwing heavy shots, trying to get that knockout. And then after that Andy Ruiz loss, I feel like he was a little bit more cautious and tried to be more of a boxer. So we've seen different types of Anthony Joshua where we're like, what type of fighter is he? What type of boxer is he? What route is he going to go? I think if he could put that both together, be that Anthony Joshua that was looking for those knockouts and then kind of put it together, he'd be perfectly fine, which is why I'm like, okay, training with Derek James now, who trains Errol Spence Jr. and Jermell Charlo, for those who aren't very fond of Derek James. Also is up for like trainer of the year. Yeah. A lot of people say a lot of good things about Derek James. So I'm more interested in what type of Anthony Joshua that we're going to see under Derek James, because I really think it's going to be different from anything that we've seen before. Now, going into this fight, I think we already know Anthony Joshua has the huge reach advantage. He has the height advantage, and he's going to want to fight this fight from a distance, whereas Jermaine Franklin's going to have to close the gap on this one. Joshua's going to be technical. He's going to use his physicality, really good jab, and I think he's going to establish that jab early on, win those early rounds. I think Franklin is going to have some moments in this fight as well. His favorite punch from him, for me, is his left hook, and I think he's going to be able to land on Joshua as well. And I think early on, Joshua is actually going to be a little bit cautious in this fight because Franklin does have power. 14 knockouts. Like, the guy has power. You can't sleep on him. And I do think in this fight, we're going to see them trade a little bit as well. There's going to be some really big moments, but I actually don't see Anthony Joshua finishing off Jermaine Franklin. I don't see it happening.
Really?
Yes.
I thought you were going to go the other way. You thought he was going to finish him early.
No, I don't think so, because I think with a new trainer, like when it's your first time fighting with a new trainer, it's totally different. You're a little bit different. You're a little bit more cautious. So in this fight, I'm looking at the odds and I'm like, is he going to knock him out? I don't think Jermaine Franklin's going to get knocked out in this one. So I'm actually taking Anthony Joshua to win by decision, tons of value, plus 500. And if you just want to bet, will the fight go the distance? It's a plus 370 on FanDuel. That's how I'm rolling. I don't think Anthony Joshua gets the knockout. I think it would be really good for him to get the finish so people could stop talking all that smack about him. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's just going to have a really good performance against Jermaine Franklin. I think Jermaine Franklin's going to try to close the gap on him, but I think we're going to see a new Anthony Joshua because he is being trained by Derek James. It's going to be a new look. I don't think he gets the knockout, but I think this one goes the distance and he wins on points. And I have this at plus 500, Bryan. And also I'm going to do a side bet, and I'm going to take that plus 370 as well for the fight to go the distance. So I'm going a total different way. I don't see him getting the knockout in this one.
This is shocking. This is unbelievable. Because I was thinking about doing my primary bet is over 7.5 rounds anyway, right? But the things I'm probably going to sprinkle on is 9 through 12 Anthony Joshua stoppage.
I'm sprinkling on that too because I still think there's a chance he gets the knockout.
I think there's a chance also, and I'm also taking into account that this is in the UK. You might get the early stoppage there if you just get a flurry late. You know what I mean? And drop Jermaine Franklin once. Like, I don't think it's going to be overwhelming necessarily. It could be, right? Because Jermaine Franklin, if I have one knock on his White performance, it's just a weird thing to say. Dillian White performance. If I have one knock on it, is that he got hit. You know what I mean? He got hit, and Anthony Joshua, as you mentioned, we should have mentioned this at the top. Probably I should have. Anthony Joshua, 6'6", 82-inch reach. Jermaine Franklin, 6'2", 77-inch reach.
That reach advantage is wild.
Yeah,
wild.
And you know what though? The guys who beat Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk,
smaller
Andy
dudes.
Ruiz, smaller arms, shorter arms. Oh, smaller arms, shorter arms also. Andy Ruiz has like a 73-ish inch reach, and Usyk is like in that 74, 75 range. Jermaine Franklin longer reach than both of them, for whatever that's worth. I don't think he's not as good as Usyk, at least.
And he doesn't move around like Usyk either. Like Usyk's footwork is like incredible.
Usyk is different, but you know, like the Andy Ruiz fight, the first one, Andy Ruiz was also in incredible Andy Ruiz shape. He was 268 pounds. The rematch, he was 283. So Jermaine Franklin, if you're saying that he lost weight going into
24 pounds. Also, there was
he's ready to go to distance. He's ready to go to distance. He
is, man. He's getting ready for this fight. And
but do you have a concern though? Like, could he take a punch? If he's good, like, is that gonna hinder how well he could take Anthony Joshua's shot?
I think he'll be fine. I think we've seen him take a lot of punches before. And I think because it's Anthony Joshua's first time training with Derek James, we're going to see something different, and we're going to expect this knockout, but we're not going to get it. It's kind of similar in that sense when, I mean, I don't want to compare Anthony Joshua and Ryan Garcia, but when Ryan Garcia started training with Joe Goosen, and everyone was like, yo, he's going to get the knockout, but he didn't. He ended up getting the decision. Same thing. It's like when you're training with a new trainer, you're going to be changing some things, and you're going to be adjusting to some things. And I think we kind of might see a little bit of Errol Spence Jr.-esque type of stuff where he knows how to score on those points, you know, because that's what Spence does really well. He knows what the judges like. So I think we're going to see a different Anthony Joshua. I think he's still going to show off his power. And I do believe there will be a chance, like if we can bet, I forgot to look up the odds. I do think like Jermaine Franklin gets dropped. I think there's a chance he gets dropped in this fight, but I don't think he finishes him. Like I don't think it's going to be like a crazy stoppage. And maybe I'm wrong, but I like the odds for the fight to go the distance at plus 370, and then I like the odds of AJ to win on points plus 500. Like you can't go wrong on that. That there's a lot of value there. So if you're thinking AJ isn't going to knock him out, but you think he's going to get the win, plus 500, great value.
So with Jermaine Franklin, to put a bow on this, right? In 2019, he had a fight against Pavel Sauer. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. 231 pounds is what he weighed in at. And then when he got off a 2.5-year layoff and returned in May of last year, he was 277. And then for the Dillian White fight, the end of the year, he was 257. So he had lost 20 pounds even between those two fights. So if you're saying he's dropped 24, we're expecting him to weigh in at around 233. You know, maybe he'll gain a couple more by then or lose a couple more by then, but expect him to be in the low to mid 230s, I guess.
I forgot.
That's still big.
I was reading somewhere. I forgot where I read it, but for the last fight against Dillian White, apparently he wasn't even training. He was just working and trying to put like food on the table for his family and all that. So he wasn't even actually training that hard for that fight. Are you
saying that we might see another Anthony Joshua not upset?
No, I'm not saying that, okay? Not saying that AJ is going to win. He's going to win, and he's going to do it on points. I want him to win, though, because I think there's a lot of people saying that he's overhyped. I don't think he's overhyped.
Who would do such a thing, Shantelle?
My co-host Bryan.
Who are those people?
This guy named Bryan from Australia, Queens, some shit like that.
That's way too inside. People aren't gonna get that joke.
You got to go back to the first time we ever recorded the show. It's his alias. He's apparently from Australia, but nonetheless,
not the case. I'm very New Yorican. Okay, look behind me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You gotta rep. By the way, it was like Latino night the other night for the Knicks, right? At MSG.
Yeah, apparently. I wasn't invited though, so it didn't count.
You should have went. But nonetheless, we want to know how you're betting for this fight. Do you see Anthony Joshua getting the knockout? Do you see Jermaine Franklin upsetting Anthony Joshua? Do you think the fight will go the distance? Let us know how you're going to bet. Also, drop some comments on the fight. Let us know if you think Anthony Joshua is also overrated. We kind of want to get in a debate about that. So if you have any comments on that, and Bryan, let them know about how they can email the show and connect with us.
Yes, email the show as well, because we want to do mailbags and we want to interact with y'all, like for real, as we build this show out. Again, we're just getting started here. We're only about 6 weeks in, and we feel like we're doing a good job, but we also want to make sure we're doing a good job. So let us know. Email the show at TheMandatoryShow@gmail.com. We are planning a post-fight show for this Anthony Joshua fight, okay? On our YouTube channel, we are planning it. I know we don't have a ton of subscribers, so there's probably not going to be a ton of people there. We're just doing this as a test, and we want to continue to do, we want to do a lot of lives on our feed as well. So make sure you come in, you hang out. We'll post your comments on the channel, all that stuff, because we have Restream. We're able to do this. You know what I mean? So we're able to actually do a good show. So make sure you watch that. It'll be Saturday night after the fight, so probably 7 p.m. or so Eastern time, 4 p.m. Pacific, something like that, maybe midnight UK time, depending on when the actual fight is done. But make sure you do that and send us emails to the show so that we can do a mailbag. Could be boxing questions, could be questions about anything, really. I don't give a shit. The funnier, the better, is what I would say. The funnier, the better. We'll read a few of them. We'll do mailbags. I would love to do a mailbag every month. So if we get enough, if we accumulate enough emails from y'all, we'll be able to do that.
And yeah, drop some comments as well on this video. Like the video, subscribe, and thanks so much for rocking with us. If you're going to be betting on this fight, good luck. Good luck to Bryan. Good luck to myself. If this fight goes the distance, I'm going to be making some paper. But most importantly, thanks so much for rocking with us, and we'll be back with some more content soon.